Welcome to Startup Health TV. I'm Logan Plaster. There's a decent chance that you or someone that you love has dealt with back pain. 65 million Americans say that they had a recent incidence of back pain, and for 8% of the population, it's a chronic issue. For years, our options for dealing with back pain have been very limited. Physical therapy has been impractical for most people, and prescribing drugs for back pain has been fraught with problems. It's contributed to the opioid epidemic. So today we're talking to Dr. Jim Feng, the CEO and founder of a startup called Phyxable. He and his team are using machine learning and big data to bring evidence-based back pain therapy to people virtually. Imagine being guided through a recovery plan that's really personalized, that knows your body, and that responds to your emotions in real time. Feng and I talk about the spark that drove him from therapy into entrepreneurship, where he wants to bring Phyxable in 2021, and if you stick around to the end, he guides me through a great stretch that'll save your back if you've been sitting at your desk too long. Stick around.
Crazy dog.
Dr. Jim Feng, CEO and founder of Phyxable, thank you so much for joining me today on Startup Health TV.
Hey, thanks for having me, Logan. This is great.
Let me say before we even start, I love the energy that you bring whenever you're on one of our fireside chats. I just feel like when you hop on and ask a question, you're just like really enthused, and it's just clear that you're passionate about what you're doing.
I think that I think that comes from my team. We're all very gun ho, ready to make change, and we just bring that culture to the table. And for me, I've been working as a practitioner trying to empower people for the last 12 years. And if I don't bring that to the table every single day, then I don't know. I feel like I'm not bringing enough into their lives, right?
Well, let's start with the challenge that Phyxable is addressing. I saw that you had recently published some kind of report about really the toll that musculoskeletal injuries have on lost work days and lost wages, just this really massive toll. So tell me a little bit about that report and some of the numbers that really leap out and really require a response.
Absolutely. We spent about $635 billion on this subject of physical pain. And it's a massive problem. That leads to about 11.4 million workdays lost per employee. And it's such a big problem, and it's dealt with very inconsistently across the board. And the coverage for actually getting people better to actually build their foundation for their physical body to get better is really scattered around the globe. And for me, I guess I've been practicing for the past 12 years, just helping people out of these, common injuries like low back. 8 out of 10 people suffer from low back pain at some point in their lives.
Yeah.
And the research for it, the research on the rehab side and getting people better and stabilization of the lower back, it's all there. And then you bring the clinical pearls that are kind of siloed into the different clinics, you put it all together, and we have really good solutions for it. And you don't need much equipment. You don't need much intervention. It's about knowledge transfer. And I think that's where Phyxable kind of comes in to really bridge the gap there. So
why such a chasm between this idea that there are solutions available and this understanding in the world that like low back pain is just something you have to deal with and there's nothing you can do?
Yeah, I think it's education. And it's because our information is so locked to these brick and mortars, right? And they don't leave those brick and mortars. And a lot of the research out there is great for one individual exercise or a modality or maybe a pain pill, but they don't kind of put it together into a formulation. So that's what we really wanted to kind of bring to the table and democratize that to patients. And prior to start taking opioids or even other extra strength Tylenol, if you will, I think you should start moving. Like, one of the key things is trying to do this without major medical intervention that has so many more side effects than your body moving, right? So I think all that information is kind of siloed in, and if we can democratize and get that, a better take that research, now apply clinical pearls on top of that, and bring that to the world and get feedback from the end users, I think we'll have a better outcome measures and strategies around this.
Okay, we'll get into exactly how you've done that with Fixable, but I want to know why Dr. Jim Feng? What was it about your story that made you sort of at the right place, the right time to address this problem? And was there a light bulb moment where you realized that you wanted to be an entrepreneur, a founder, and not just punch in at a job every day?
Yeah, absolutely. Um, I wrestled for 15 years or more, actually, wrecked my body doing that. Um, and I had to actually travel about an hour and 15 minutes each way for therapy. And that was about 4 times a week. And we come from. I'm an immigrant. I was born in Shanghai. My father came here in back in the 80s, 88, and actually came here with $200 in his pocket. Made his way and started sending money back to us. We came over, lived in Chinatown, slept on 2 chairs for multiple years. So we didn't have much, right? And I had a sister 13 years apart, so I had to take care of my sister. So it was a huge challenge for me. I had to pick up my little 2-year-old sister, jump on a bus for an hour and a half, and to go to therapy. After therapy, go to practice, and then take another bus back. And I just thought to myself when I was there, like what they were just showing me, I could have just done at home. And I always thought that to my head, in my head, how can I make this process a lot better? And as I went through school, and I wrestled as well through university, and all those challenges, came into play. So as I got into practice, I think I did really well. I worked for consultant for the national wrestling team, part of with USC as well. And I think I got some of those credentials, and I just understood, hey, I'm still dealing with the same problems over and over again. How come these people don't get the message? And the reoccurrence rate is really high. We also know across the board, 70% of patients are dropping off their programs before they're discharged. How can we hack and increase that engagement? So those are all the questions kind of I was asking myself, and I've just seen this. It's such a massive problem set, and this opioid crisis is rising. So how can we fix this? And then of course COVID hits, and then people don't have access to care. 8% of the clinics were closed. Post-operatively, they're not getting care either. And then we also know 75% of people with physical illnesses also run to mental illness. So there's a huge connection there. So I really want to help people and democratize this care, and then when you go into clinic, that experience should be exponentially better, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, we can talk about what you've actually built with Fixable, which I love the inherent optimism in the name of the company. Like this is a fixable problem. Let's fix it, and let's not just dull the pain or kick the can down the road. Let's fix it. So, give me the sort of elevator pitch of what Fixable is, and then we can kind of dive into the specifics.
Yeah, Fixable is the end-to-end virtual rehab platform. We work from prevention or pain to prevention to performance. So we use that with, I guess we get there with telerehab, and we have specific tools catered to movement. And then we also have programming based on the best research and clinical pearls built by orthopedic surgeons, chiros, physios, therapists, occupational therapists. And along the way, we actually created an augmented reality tool that actually checks your movement to make sure you're actually doing good. And what can you do on your own without more intervention to make sure that you're succeeding along the way?
Got it. Okay. Just to break apart some of the words that you use there, because I'm sure they're all very important. You said prevention. So we could think about pain as just treatment and being reactive. Why is prevention important, and kind of what does it look like?
Yeah. I think one of the key reasons we started the company is because we wanted to instill more prevention. But prevention is really hard. People are lazy. We're all lazy. And so we start at pain, and then we build a trust around pain that we can reduce your pain. And then from there, for example, if you're working on low back and we got your program on low back, you got diagnosed with one of our practitioners, here's your outcomes. We create a program for you with outcome measures that we can remotely monitor. And once you're done that program and your pain levels are decreased and we discharge you off the program, we work towards prevention. So prevention for low back pain would be core stabilization. So we treat your that cold core area. Think of it as a pop can, and a pop can that's open is a lot easier to crush than a pop can that's closed and shook. It has a lot of pressure inside. So we help you build that, and we can create outcome measures and movement patterns, and we can check your movement patterns over time and remotely monitor to make sure you're progressing along the way. The data component of that is actually really, really important. So we don't have to touch point with you all the time and cost more money for the system. We can do a lot more with less.
Got it. You can automate it. You can scale it up to more people. Which brings me to, you mentioned machine learning, and even I think gamification is part of the story here. So how do you bring in machine learning? My understanding is that the actual exercises that you do are relatively simple. Why do you need that level of big data?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the exercises, the content piece, we have thousands of pieces of content as well that we can mix and match and create new programming, and that's not hard. And there's a lot of stuff out there. It comes down to that, but I think the formulation is really important, and the formulation between progressions. So imagine doing a plank on your knees, or plank on your toes, plank rotations, plank with a band, and that's really important. So, and then also the sets and reps, those are really important too. So we have logic around all of that, and to change your sets and reps dynamically, as well as the progression on the exercises dynamically. And on the other side of things, we're doing motion. So we had machine vision, right? So that's the augmented reality part of things. So part of it was point estimation that we got down was the first version that we got down. The next version will actually give you feedback. So we are creating logic around that. So imagine you doing a squat, and it's going to tell you, hey, your knees are too far forward in front of your toes. Your back angle is not straight. And this is what you need to do it better. So typically you probably need another session that's going to cost you $75 with a practitioner, when like these points should be at your fingertips as soon as you're doing the movement. That's what's going to create better engagement, right? And on the gamification side of things, we have really cool achievements and streaks, and also reward system challenges and reward systems in order to keep people going. So one of the challenges is a soft tissue component. So how do you get into the tissues? And for all those who've been to physio and rehab or a chiro, they've done soft tissue work. You can do the same thing with a massage ball, a simple tool that's under $5. And we show you how to do it, and we provide that as part of the packages when we work with insurers and corporations.
How did you go about building the body of evidence behind this? Because obviously there's a lot of people, there's a lot of noise in the market. If I want to Google things I can do at home for my lower back, I have no idea whether this is really tested, really empirically trustworthy. So how did you go about building that knowledge base and make sure this is really the smartest thing that you can put on the market?
Absolutely, that's a really integral part. And prior to building this version, the last version, the version that we released was with our MVP was to actually test that market. So we had a whole cohort of 95 patients that worked specifically on low back pain, and not specifically low back pain. We were able to discharge 103% better than your typical experience across the board. So across the board, this is the National Physiotherapy Association stats was nine treatments on average for a problem. Treatments, 70% of the patients actually drop off before they're discharged, either because of time or money, right? So we were able to not only get them better within 5 sessions, but we're able to discharge 61%, right, instead of 30%. So we're really proud of that, and we're taking that stat, and also we have a new project with the University Health Network and the Kite Research Lab, which is one of the biggest research lab for rehabilitation, and we're doing a larger study on that to create even more validation around it. And each programming is still based on practitioner programming, or if it's a pre-program, it's based on a whole literature, right? So we provide all that literature reference.
How are your partners responding to this? Are you B2B, or are you going directly to folks with low back pain?
Yeah, we started there, and folks with low back pain, and you still can access us, and we get a lot of referrals directly, just organically. But we specifically work with insurers, and we specifically work with employers that are self-insured, ASO-based companies, and yeah, they love it. They love it themselves. They use it themselves. Their engagements are really, really high, and
Wait, what do you mean by they use it themselves? Do you mean like the
personally, they
folks who
use
are
it.
signing the contracts are using it?
Yeah, exactly. They use it themselves. And I make sure that they're using it prior to signing. Like one of our sell features is like get on a session with us and understand what it's like.
I mean, it's funny you say that because like the minute you start talking about low back pain, I immediately start thinking like, oh, I've got something. It's like it's such a universal thing that even if you're not feeling it now, you did or you will. It's like it's just a present reality.
Absolutely. And even from the prevention standpoint, there you can start. Our entry points are again pain to prevention to performance. So on the performance side, we have like Dr. Josh Finstock, two-time Olympian, showing how to prevent shoulder rotator cuff impingement, right? So really engaging stuff. And then on the prevention side, we got like ergonomic support. So a lot of people are working from home now. So we can do ergonomic assessment at half the price of traditional models. And then not only are you getting the assessment by the practitioner, but you're also getting homework and the takeaway points to work with. And then on our posture program, it pings you at the right time during the day to actually like do a quick fix, burger stretch and get in position,
Yep.
because ultimately the prevention is it's a small little step multiple times through the day, right?
Got it.
So our job is to really create more touch points within the application to feel better.
I'm guessing you're gonna tell me I should be working at a stand-up desk.
Absolutely. I see you in front of those in front of those talks all the time, really into the screen.
I should be standing up. All right. Everyone needs this. It's hugely important. You said that people are really responding well. Kind of what are the big milestones you're excited about for 2021 partnerships, et cetera?
Yeah, we've landed tons of partnership in the last year. This year is really about selling directly to the insurers and directly into the self-insured companies that really need this. So those people who are like that office worker, or work from home model, big transition. People are struggling with physical and mental health related. And then on the other side is high injury. Those industrial workers that are just are like on they're having difficulties going from short-term disability, like throw Phyxable in there as the solution prior to having to do that. And then, the workers comp, prior to having to, send a claim through workers comp and increase your premiums for the year, right? So this is a massive problem for that industry. So
Yep.
these are the people we're looking to talk to. And we have some big numbers coming up this upcoming year as well.
That's
and,
exciting.
and we're talking to the majority of the insurers at this point.
That's exciting. For someone who's watching right now, how about you give us one strategy for the work from home crowd who is afraid that they might be heading towards a low back injury?
Yeah, that's a great point. Every 45 minutes.
Every
So
45 minutes, do what?
every 40 minutes, do one thing, one movement. And I can point you back to the app for some of the movements, but a great one's called the Brugger stretch. And all you have to do is stand up or kneel as you like. And what you want to do is chin tuck, shoulders back, open up your chest, and think double chin. Drop the shoulders and hold that for 10 deep breaths. So
10
10
deep
deep breaths
breaths.
is about 30 seconds, and then back to
Beautiful.
work.
Beautiful.
Easy,
Okay,
right?
so I need to set a timer. This is everyone who's watching this. Set a timer, 45 minutes. Do at least one Dr. Jim Feng motion. I love it.
A quick fix.
Something that I've been doing on these interviews is sort of a tactical lightning round for the entrepreneurs who are watching.
Yeah.
Just some quick strategic questions that we ask everybody. And so, how did you land your first customer?
Hustle, grind.
Say again, grind, hustle and grind.
Hustle and grind, hustle and grind. Yeah, you
Cold
gotta
calls.
hit some cold calls. My first one was a cold call. Multiple others became referrals directly from the people I've been talking to. It might not be a great fit for them, but they love it themselves. And then they're like, hey, this might be a really good fit for you. And tap into your network. all your friends work somewhere, and if you're B2B specifically, right? And look for connections that way, and ultimately, if you're a B2C product, shout your product from the top of the rooftop of your lungs, and see what hits. You gotta go wide before you go tall or high, I guess.
Yeah.
Before you get perfect product market fit, you really gotta figure out what that is. You don't have to go super deep in every vertical, but you can dibble down until you figure that out.
Okay, 2, do you believe in unpaid pilots? Paid or unpaid?
I think if you're early enough, go unpaid. If you're halfway through, don't waste your time. But if you're going to do pilots, make sure you have at least a letter of intent to say, once you're done the pilot and this was successful, these are markers I'm going to meet. If I meet that marker, that's going to return into a contract.
How did you prioritize your very first hires or advisors in terms of skill set?
Understand yourself. So understanding where your limitations are. I'm a fast moving, I go get, and sometimes my T's are not crossed. So I need people who are super objective to make sure those components are met. And then once we grew one more time, the last hire was a head of sales, which is obviously something we needed because I was headhunting for the fundraising part of side of things, and I couldn't do both effectively. So fill those gaps as you see fit. But at the end of the day, go to the end and look for your goal. Where do you want to get to? I actually set lifetime goals and then work backwards and forwardly, and then work from there.
Last big question. How do you stay sharp? How do you keep that health moonshot mindset where the main thing is the main thing?
Yeah. Emotion is motion. So you got to move, man, throughout the day. That's really important. And I make sure my physical body is at its peak. And I work out 5-6 times a week. And I practice what I preach. I feel really good. Make sure my vitamin is optimal. If you got your health right, if you got your wealth right, I think everything else kind of fits into place.
This is the bonus round. On LinkedIn, it says that you're into something called aquascaping. What is that, and how did you get into it?
Okay, there's really aquascaping is literally think landscaping, but you have aquatic plants in there and shrimp and fish. It's about the plants and not about the fauna.
So this is not an extreme sport.
This is the opposite of extreme sport, but I am world ranked.
This is like trimming a bonsai tree, but with what?
This is
interesting.
CO2 high tech lighting.
So you combine, I know you're into diving, you're into some extreme sports or extreme adventure activities, but then also this sort of quieting activity of aquascaping. Very interesting.
Yeah. You gotta bounce the yin and yang, right?
Love it. Okay, well, that's the time we have. Dr. Feng, love what you're building there. I think it is so applicable. You're driving down costs. You're opening up access in one of the, just most important areas for just everyday thriving. So appreciate what you're doing and excited to see what you do in 2021.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. This is a great channel.
All right. Thanks. And be well.
You too.
Bye. A quick word about this show, in case you're new around here. At Startup Health, we believe in broadcasting the stories of health moonshot progress, the stories of the most forward-thinking entrepreneurs in health. If you want more of this good news about healthcare's problem solvers, make sure that you subscribe to our channel, hit that notification button, and follow us on social media at Startup Health.